New data says bankruptcies are exploding, up 216% on the year, higher than the 2008 crisis and almost double the COVID lockdowns. Now, this is all before the recession even officially begins. In fact, Joe Biden's last word was that this economy is, quote, strong as hell, which the news tells us he ventured, quote, while munching a waffle cone. Not a joke. Now, last week, the S&P reported its tally of U.S. companies going under hit 236 in the first 4 months alone, more than double last year. A separate study by UBS found $10 million plus bankruptcies are now running almost 8 per week, which is almost double the peak level of the lockdowns. Now, the problem here is the worst of the bankruptcies usually don't come early in a recession. They come a year or two in. Yet here we are seeing them before the show even begins. For example, in 2008, we saw a slight rise in bankruptcies going in, so about 7% from 2006 to 7. But the real collapse didn't come until well into the crisis. Essentially, the initial bankruptcies are a warning, a canary in the coal mine, but the true collapse takes another year or two as the actual recession drains companies' cash and drives them under. In 2008, that meant a doubling of major bankruptcies in that first year of the actual recession, 2008, followed by yet another doubling the following year, 2009, and then yet another year, 2010, that was almost as bad as 2008. In other words, going by last time, whatever happens in the first year of the crash, you're in for 3 to 4 times more bankruptcies by the time it's over. And here we are, worse than 2008, and they're still happy talking about soft landings. So why so much failure so early? Simple. Banks aren't lending. The other day, I did a video on new data saying banks are battening down the hatches, hogging their bailout money instead of lending it out. This is confirmed by small business surveys showing the fastest deterioration in lending since the 2008 crisis. That credit crunch means not only do we get bankruptcies like in any recession, on top of that, we get a lending wall that cuts off even the healthy businesses. Of course, their jobs go down with them. In fact, a recent Bloomberg article said the amount of distressed corporate debt soared 4-fold in the past year to $300 billion, meaning hundreds of companies are already swirling down the bankruptcy drain. And by the way, that's up 30% in 1 month. Bloomberg also warned there's $350 billion in debt right on the edge of downgrade, which would cut those companies off from most lending altogether. Confirming from the other side, major banks are now setting aside loss reserves. So Citi doubled theirs, Morgan Stanley quadrupled the money they set aside to cover failed loans. Keep in mind, all of this is before the recession even officially begins. We are still seeing the consumer floating the gig on credit card debt. It is starting to look like the Fed set us up for one hell of a crash by pumping trillions out and then crushing banks in the economy to hide it, potentially delivering a combination credit crunch plus recession that's already taking out jobs at 2008 levels before it has even started. All of this paired with an administration so economically clueless, from energy to small business to spending and inflation, that the coming jobs recession could drag on for years. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.